finally, but by no means least, we have Ms. Vanita Pais, who is a nutritionist, a registered dietitian, and a certified diabetes educator. She has extensive clinical and research expertise and will bring to you both perspectives as she speaks to us about the role of nutrition in human health.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak on this topic. And I just want to say that I'll be talking about effective nutrition strategies that fight colds. So I'm not going to be going to individual research stuff, but it is more going to be accumulative, practice-based on evidence. So more like take-home messages as to what you would do on a daily basis based on a comprehensive kind of lit review and looking at what evidence is there and what you should be doing or how you should be doing. So this is just to kind of start to tell you what are colds. Now they are caused by a virus. It's a minor illness, and you've listened to all of the symptoms that everybody gets, and all of you probably experience this, where you can get infection of the upper respiratory tract, you can have sinuses inflamed, you can have all these symptoms which all of us are really familiar: sneezing, runny nose, cough, and sore throat. And as we've heard before, that there are over 200 viruses that can give you this infection of your respiratory tract, and there isn't a vaccine for this. It's practically impossible to have a vaccine to treat it. So really there's no vaccine available and to prevent colds. And also we need to just be aware that colds make an appearance in fall, and they last from November until April, but you can see colds even in October. So we really can't stop its appearance, so they will be there, they will come during the fall, but what is it that helps us fight it? It's our immune system. And the immune system, with the right kind of nutrients, can really be boosted to fight it well. And as the immune system defends our body and keeps illnesses away, it is dependent on a lot of our macro and micronutrients to be functioning at an optimal level. It cannot function if there are deficiencies or inadequate nutrients in our body. So the nutrients can impact the immune cell function and alter cell-to-cell reactions. So an overall healthy diet becomes really important to keep the immune system working well and fight against these viruses. So I'm going to go through some of the basic overall steps that everybody needs to take to fight these colds during the fall season. And what's our first line of defense? Everybody probably heard about it before. It's our personal hygiene, right? Where we're going to keep washing our hands, avoiding close contact with people who have colds and flus, and thinking about a balanced, healthy approach of eating. So getting good quality proteins, getting your good fats and all your macronutrients, limiting sugar and aiming for a healthy body weight. So sugar is not a bad thing. You can have it in moderation, but if it is going to be excess, then it has a negative impact on our immune function. And that's why it can also affect body weight, which again is negative. It shows that people who gain weight and are obese, they are their immune response is impaired, and there is a state of inflammation. So just watching that sugar and having it in limited amounts is important. It's important to stay hydrated, avoid too much alcohol. Now, physical activity is required for a healthy immune system, so regular physical activity is something that's recommended. And stress, we know that stress reduces, weakens that immune system of ours. And sleep has been seen to have a positive effect on our immune system, and it's recommended that adults get at least 7 to 8 hours, and kids and teenagers get anywhere between 10 to 12 hours. Now that's a hard piece, because I work with teenagers and I have teenagers too, and I know that's a hard piece for them to get. Overall, what we do know is that it's not any single magic food or single nutrient that can stop this the cold or help us during this fall time when the viruses appear. But it can help altogether. There are some foods that can help you have fewer colds. It can help the cold go away probably a lot more quicker, and it can reduce the symptoms. So it's not going to totally take it away, but you may see these benefits. So let's start with the first one, is vitamin C. Now vitamin C promotes the body's production of interferon, and it's a natural antiviral agent that fights infection. It also has a slight antihistaminic effect, and it's recommended that if you take a good amount, like approximately 200 milligrams a day, you're not going to not get a cold at all, but it will help reduce the duration and the severity of the symptoms. It's also been studied, so I'm not going to go through individual studies, but I'm just kind of giving you an overall picture of what was seen, that people taking high doses of vitamin C, once they got a cold, they felt that it helped with the symptoms a lot better when compared to a placebo. That means something that didn't have anything in it. But this, when they looked at it, this effect was not really studied very well with kids, so it's only kind of related to adults. So what the bottom line is that at really high levels, we really don't know how its effects are, but at approximately 200 milligrams, there are beneficial effects. And people who go through a lot of stressful physical activity or athletes, they notice that when they take 200 milligrams or even a little higher dose, they have beneficial effects, and the incidence of colds reduced by 50%. But this is with people who have a lot of physical stress. So where do you find vitamin C? I'm sure all of you are aware. You find it in citrus fruits, sweet peppers, strawberries, kiwi, oranges, and broccoli. And you can try to aim to take about 200 milligrams a day to help fight colds. And if you do not eat enough, you can definitely top it up with a supplement. That's not a big issue. You could do that. Now moving on to zinc. So zinc is really vital for a healthy immune system, and it is an immunologically important micronutrient, and we know that it is essential for the normal cell function of your immune system, the cells of your immune system. And what they saw is that people who had mild or severe zinc deficiency, their immune system was a little bit suppressed, and when they were supplemented or given zinc, they found that their immune functions improved. So zinc can help with symptom reduction. So once you get a cold, if you are going to take zinc lozenges like zinc acetate or zinc gluconate or a syrup or a supplement, it's not going to stop the cold, but the severity or the symptoms are going to be fewer. You can also get it through natural foods like oysters, fish, seafood, beef, pumpkin seeds, whole grains, wheat germ, poultry. All of these are good sources of zinc too, and it can be had. Now the recommendation is try not to go over 40 milligrams a day. Now it doesn't mean that people will not need more than that, but individual doses you need to consult with your physician or pharmacist to know exactly how much you would need if you are really deficient. Probiotics. So probiotics is another, it helps a lot with the immune system, and there is conclusive evidence to tell us that it modulates the intestinal and the systemic immune system. Now, how much do you need and for how long you need it? You need to be taking it at least 3 months before the cold season begins. And what's the dose? You do need to get about over 10 billion active probiotic cultures in a day to fight the cold. So it has evidence that it helps, but you have to kind of plan it or be taking it a lot more in advance. And usually if you're choosing a supplement, you could choose a supplement that has lactobacillus in it or the bifidobacteria strains in it. Now if you're buying the children version, they usually don't have that much. It has about quarter or half of the dose recommended. So just to keep in mind that probiotics are helpful, and you can also find it in yogurts and kefir and things like that. And taking it that earlier period of time just helps with the shorter duration and the severity of the cold. So something to consider. Selenium. On the other hand, we don't have evidence to tell us that selenium can totally prevent or treat a common cold. It is definitely really important for our immune response, but when we looked at the data, it doesn't tell us that if a person is supplemented with this, it will help prevent or treat it. So this is not something that I can recommend any amount that would be beneficial, that because the literature doesn't give us conclusive evidence of certain amounts that's beneficial. Now vitamin D, we heard a lot about vitamin D too, and vitamin D fights the viruses, and we know that it enhances our immune system. There's a lot of research out there that tells us that. It also stimulates the secretion of antimicrobial substances from neutrophils, monocytes, the natural killer cells, protecting the lung from infection. We do know that. So it's kind of like an immune booster. We do need good levels of vitamin D throughout the year. And guess what? During the winter months and fall months, when we need most of it, we have the lowest amounts. Our reserves are low. So we don't have conclusive evidence to say that it totally prevents colds, but we know during the time that the viruses appear, we tend to have lower levels. So we recommend that everybody aim for about 1,000 units of vitamin D during that winter months. And the DRS are about 600 units, but aiming for a little higher amount during these months is not going to be harmful. You can get vitamin D from fatty fish, fortified milk, yogurts, egg yolk, deli meats, pork, beef liver, and margarine. But if it's something that you cannot get through food, you can always have a vitamin D3 supplement. Now, I work with kids, and what we say for kids is that they can take their total week dose in a day. So if you need to take, let's say, even as an adult, you need to take 1,000 units a day. You can take all of it in one day for 7 days and repeat it every 7 days. So you don't have to take it every day, so that it can have one less thing for everybody to do, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about chicken soup, because that's something that everybody has, been grow up with, or it's kind of like that comfort food that helps with colds and make you feel good. So there's no evidence we know to support that the intake of chicken soup prevents the common cold. They say that it may be beneficial for improving some of the symptoms like runny nose, coughing, sneezing, sore throat, or chills. And the World Health Organization does support giving warm fluids and soups to children as soothing remedies for a common cold. So what are the reasons that people think, or it's believed that it's beneficial, is that it helps to keep you hydrated. It helps to increase that nasal airflow due to inhalation of the vapors. It may loosen respiratory secretions, enhancing their removal. And it's not that it's just chicken soup that will give you that beneficial effect. It could be any hot beverage or a broth that could do the same. So it's just that it helps in certain ways, that it's not kind of it'll help you cure it or anything. It's more of a soothing effect, and we have literature to tell us that. So now moving on to herbal supplements, I'm going to touch upon these three and look at what's the evidence on how much you need to be taking. So North American ginseng is shown to have a lot of beneficial effects and fight or can treat colds. And there are studies that tell us that it can also prevent colds. So one of the active ingredients in the North American ginseng is ginseng, and it is a pretty safe extract from the ginseng, because it has been demonstrated in various studies to be pretty safe. You can get it in different forms, like in a capsule, a tea, in liquid form, and the most common one that you may be more familiar with is the cold effects. So Colfax has the North American ginseng, and there are studies that tell us that people who do take the Colfax may have as less as 26% less chance of getting a cold in a regular year compared to the previous year, and also they also have a lesser incidence of having the second cold in that year. So there is some evidence that tells us that North American ginseng, especially the Colfax, has been studied that it can prevent a cold. Now I do know a lot of through the Asian friends I've had, they buy the ginseng in the form of a root, or they buy ginseng flakes and they make it like a tea, or they boil it and then they kind of have it at the liquid, they drink it throughout the day. But that's really hard to measure because it's recommended that you need about 100 milligrams or as much as 200 milligrams a day. So when you do something like that, it's hard to quantify as to how much you are getting in a day. So it is beneficial and helpful. The next one we heard about also was Echinacea, and Echinacea may be effective in the early treatment of colds, and it has no effect in preventing colds. And it helps to shorten that duration to about 1.4 days. Now, we know that Echinacea, you get it in various plant species and different parts of the plant. So the component that is most responsible for the immunostimulation is the ones that the studies have shown us is the flower or stems from the Echinacea purpurea plant. So it's just important to remember that this is the one that you would want to look for, and it will help to reduce the symptoms and the duration. Now, people who are allergic to this, allergic to ragweed, daisy, marigold, and chrysanthemums, they should be careful when taking this because it is contraindicated it comes from the same family of plants. Garlic. So garlic is, we know through traditional use and through experimental data that it has got antimicrobial properties. However, there isn't any conclusive evidence that tells us that you can use it in preventing common cold. Now, I kind of went quickly over all the nutrients and some of the herbal supplements that can be beneficial, but I also want to talk a little bit about natural health products, because this is something that we rely on, and we know that if we're not going to get it through our diet, we're going to choose products to help supplement the diet. And we know it's a huge market because according to Health Canada, 71% of Canadians use these forms of alternate medicine, and it was about, in 2004, 4.3 billion was spent on natural health products. And it's just important to know how to pick these products appropriately, and because we do have reports that sometimes there are claims that are being made that are not supported by enough evidence. So when you are picking any of these products, just be kind of careful of what you're going to look for, because you will come across claims like vitality, immune system stimulating, and well-being, and this can be claims that can be too good to be true, and they can use pseudo-medical jargon like purify, detoxify, and energize. And this could be used to cover up, because there's lack of scientific data or evidence, these words are used. And so it's really problematic because consumers may not really understand the term, and they may interpret that this product is suitable for their infections. So it's just to be aware of the claims and how are you going to choose the product. So the labeling standards helped us. It was in 2004 that the Natural Health Products Regulations came into effect in an attempt to kind of police this industry, because there were claims that were being made that were not evidence-based. So really, if you are picking a product that comes into this category, like vitamins, minerals, herbs, then you just want to be kind of careful and look at if they have a natural product number, like an NPN number or a DIN number. That means these products can be legally sold in Canada and is safe and effective when used according to the instructions on the label. And some products you will also see a number like ENXX, and these products have not totally or fully been evaluated. So it's in the market, but it's not fully evaluated. So as long as you're aware of it, it's okay. You need to make an informed decision. And because these products are over the counter, you can self-select it, and the dosages are not always recommend, like it's not prescribed by anybody. Sometimes you can just pick it up. You do need to consult with your health practitioner to understand the claims, or if you do have adverse reactions, that you report it. So this was just about the national health products as to how you pick them. And in conclusion, I would say the role of the immune system is our first line of defense, and it protects our body. But there is no one nutrient that is going to help just protect the immune system or help our body. We need optimal nutrition as essential for that adequate immune function. And there are several common treatments that are practiced by the general public to improve immunity, although all of them have not shown to be having that beneficial effect. So you just have to be careful that if something is said that is good for you, and taking too much of anything good for you, it doesn't necessarily make you feel better or be a better product. Those are my references, and thank you for your attention. Okay.